Hello buddy, it's Wyman here with a quick little video just to cover the news and the update from today. Nothing too crazy, but of course we have gotten a brand new hero, brand new unit really for the greenskins, and that is the Blackrock Big Boss. So long awaited, he was already leaked on some of the earlier streams, and he looks like an absolute menace here with that Mad Max style helmet, that monstrous Blackrock shield, and the very scary looking Blackrock Choppa. So quite the impressive looking specimen, definitely a cool looking character, but is he good? Is he useful? And what does he bring to the table? And that's what we're going to be looking at in this video real quick. We're going to break down his stats, look at his itemization, and discuss just what he might be useful for. Now at first glance, the Blackrock Big Boss is a respectable character in raw stats. You do get a 110 armor, you get a silver shield, and you actually retain this silver shield on the boar. Kind of makes sense when you look at how huge that shield is compared to the Blackrock with the boar, but he does get a silver shield, so he is pretty beefy against missile pressure. He does have a solid 3165 HP, which for a hero is not bad. It's certainly, I think it could be higher, but for a hero character, I think it is definitely respectable. It's right up there with some of the legendaries like the Green Knight. Obviously, the Green Knight is much beefier thanks to his physical resistance. Besides that, his speed is an okay 33, which is not the most amazing thing ever, but for a foot character, okay enough. Melee attack 55, melee defense 55, both very solid, and these can be boosted with his items, so already a respectable baseline, but can be better. Weapon strength is 390, which is not bad, especially when you consider that his AP ratio is actually pretty high. You get 170 AP and 220 non-AP, which is about, I believe, a 44% or so non-AP ratio, or sorry, AP ratio to non-AP ratio, which is solid. That's much better than a lot of non-AP heroes get, and so he hits like quite the truck, has an okay charge bonus. Otherwise, the usual hero shenanigans, plus immune psychology, because of course he is a Blackrock, so he's not breaking anytime soon. When you move him onto a boar, he does cost 300 more. Baseline, he is a 775 gold hero. With the boar, he's 1075, so you're looking at a near 1100 gold hero. But speed goes up to 62, which is still not great, but better than nothing. You get about 400 more HP, 50 more weapon strength, though it does not become AP, which is a bit strange to me. Usually boars give you AP. That has always been the case, but for some reason not with this bad boy. But you do still get 35 more non-AP and 15 more AP, so a solid little boost there, plus 20 charge bonus as well. Definitely makes him a better character. But I don't think this is necessarily going to be the predominant configuration, because I think there's really going to be two niches where this bad boy shines, and one of them is going to be more of a infantry build, and the other I think is cavalry. Now, first itemization, he's got some actually solid items and some solid abilities. First and foremost, going through some of what I consider the less significant ones here. He does get heroic killing blow, which is actually not bad. With 440 weapon strength baseline, this spikes you up to 660, which on a hero is pretty insane. With those respectable AP ratios, you're still looking at about 300 or so, maybe a little less than that, but maybe about 250 or so AP damage, which is a pretty nutty amount. You're hitting like an absolute truck with heroic killing blow, and then all that non-AP on top of that. If you catch a squishy hero with this guy, they are not long for this world at all. It's definitely going to be lights out pretty quickly. Besides that, you do get the Dragon Slayer's Fang. Now, this is a unique armor that only triggers when you are below 50% HP. I'm not a huge fan of this item. It is the buffs are very solid. You get an extra 30. You get an extra 23 armor, buffs you up to 133. Plus 9 melee defense puts you up to a respectable 64 melee defense. So he's already good at 55. Bumping it up to 64 is really, really good. But to be quite honest, I don't think this item is worth it. It costs about 200 gold baseline, I think. Obviously, if you bring more items, it costs a bit less. But this hero costs about 1800 maxed out. So if you can shave that down to 1600, might not bring the Dragon Slayer's Fang, I definitely think that's worth it. I think this is the least valuable of his items by far, even though it looks very impressive on paper. Besides that, you do get back here, dirt cheap, generic ability, gets you plus 16 leadership in AoE. Very useful for keeping troops in the fight, and I think one of the primary reasons he's going to have great synergy with two build types. One, either Goblin and Troll heavy Death Ball or Ball sort of build, and the other one, a more cav heavy build. Because oftentimes what you'll see with greenskins is that your opponent has more mobile heavy cav, or they've got monstrous flyers. They're going to surround your board by big guns. They're going to surround your cavalry. They're going to tear out you very, very quickly. With Get Back Here, you can counteract that. You also do have Rabble Rouse, which is the equivalent of the Blyce Cav's Plague Pack Regiment of Renown ability, the one that Skaven get. and it gets immune to psychology in an AoE. So what you can do is if you're rolling that Board Boy Big Gun mob and someone dives Boris into you or flanks you with Karl Franz or is dropping a Star Dragon in your face or whatever it may be, you're going to stick around much better with immune to psychology. You can really endure where normally Board Boy Big Guns especially tend to just break very easily, much less Spider Riders and stuff like that. And it can even support other, you can actually have like a combo. You can run a Goblin Big Boss for the poison and they need stabbing, and then on top of that a Black Orc Big Boss as a combo sort of alongside a cavalry unit like Board Boy Big Guns or the Broken Tusk Mob unit like that, and they can boost each other, help deal with big threats, and at the same time they're both helping out the cavalry perform just a bit better. Finally, you do get the Brass Cleaver, another very useful item in my opinion. +9 melee attack in AoE. It's not too expensive, and boosting the not so good stats on Board Boy Big Guns with +9 melee attack is actually quite the monster's boost. It's almost 50% more melee attack for a unit like Board Boy Big Guns, because their melee attack stats are just so bad. So definitely a solid boost there, plus boost yourself. So if you combo this with the Dragon Slayer Fang, you actually end up at a very high 64 melee defense once this activates. So that's actually pretty damn solid stats for sure. Now, what the builds, as mentioned, I kind of already mentioned that I think his two primary purposes are either boosting trolls or boosting cavalry. I think if you bring this guy on foot, he can support a troll build rather well because you get that immune psychology. You can get either an extra get back here, or you can bring a leader who doesn't have get back here and still get the benefit of get back here. You also do get the Brass Cleaver, which does make the trolls hit more consistently. It's about a quarter boost to their melee attack, so it's not bad. And you can also synergize this with goblins. And even in Death Ball builds, where I don't think this guy's great with like a Black Orc Death Ball or Monster Death Ball, you'll often have these supplementary troops, like the Nasty Skulkers, for example, who tend to rout very easily. Being able to buff that with Rabble Rouse and with Get Back here can be an absolute lifesaver and can really help you stay in the fight much longer than you normally would. Brass Cleaver also, honestly, a solid buff. You could strip him down, even if you were going with, say, Black Orc build. You could cut off the Dragon Slayer's Fang, the Rabble Rouse, the Hero Killing Blow, even the Get Back here. Just bring this guy in with a Brass Cleaver, and he can buff a Black Orc Death Ball very well, while simultaneously providing that leadership. Especially if you brought, like, Azag or something, and you're not going into the engagements, you're kind of avoiding them, you're fighting along the edges. Brass Cleaver still provides your Black Orcs with a constant 25% more melee attack, which is not bad at all. Otherwise, I think that the cavalry builds are the place for him to be. Otherwise, besides goblins and trolls, because he can move with the Board Boy Big Guns, keep up with them, provide constant buff aura, and honestly, he's a better support character than the Orc War Boss. And otherwise, as Greenskins, you don't really have good characters to synergize with your Cav. Azag is kind of flimsy. Like, certainly he's not a bad combatant, and you could stack him with the Black Orc Big Boss in a fight. But ultimately, you don't want him getting stuck in with cavalry engagements. He's just much squishier. Obviously, Grimgore's too slow. Skarsnik's too slow. Though you can perhaps cast some long-range buffs, you can't actually be in the fight, really, with Skarsnik. Obviously, you don't want Warzag or a Night Goblin Shaman in there. And a Night Goblin War Boss is also not that great. So I actually think this guy's going to be probably the best cavalry support character for the Greenskins. So if you're looking for that Pigtonia build, I think this is going to be the way to go. Now, what matchups he could shine in, I actually don't think there's too many where you're really going to want this guy. It's more about theming build. If you're doing a themed build with trolls, I think there's a lot of builds where he'll be useful. And I think the matchups where trolls can be good. They can be decent against Wood Elves, for example. They can be solid. I could see this guy being rather good against Wood Elves, for example, because you do get the Silver Shield. You're pretty beefy. Against Empire, you could use this guy to support your cavalry in those all-too-critical cavalry engagements. With Empire, battles tend to be very mobile, very fast-paced, unless, I don't know, the Empire player really screwed up, in my opinion. But the battles tend to be very fast-paced, very mobile. And in that, you really want that mobile support, and the Black Orc Big Boss provides that. Against Bretonnia, though that is already a very skewed matchup against the Greenskins, I think this guy's not bad. Or, sorry, against the Bretonians, I think this guy's not a bad pick. I think if you bring this guy against Vampire Counts, he can be a decent support tool, just propping up your... Nasty Skulkers and support units, preventing them from routing. I could see him being decent against Vampire Coast, perhaps, and maybe against maybe against a faction like Beastmen, where once again the mobility game is super important. So having a character who's very mobile and hits like a truck is useful. Keep in mind, Beastmen have very bad armor by and large, so the fact that this guy hits like a truck means that he's going to be a threat to Minotaurs, he's going to be a threat to Giants, Cygors, all that. And at the same time, he's going to be very hard to snipe for the Beastmen because he's got very good melee stats. Beastmen traditionally do not have the best melee stats, and Silver Shields means that something like Centaur throwing axes aren't going to kill this guy too easily. There is actually a, and I'll actually link the vid. I actually did get a game in with Rubber Duck of War. Unfortunately, forgot to save it, and I don't think it was necessarily the best highlight because it was a versus Chaos. So I don't think that was necessarily a game where I would traditionally run the Boar Boy or the Black Orc Big Boss on a boar, but I think that match did actually highlight very nicely how survivable this guy can be and how tanky he can be. He performed just very, very well there.